3 London teams, 2 victories, and 1 defeat after going a goal ahead. Hi, I'm Wayne and welcome to Goals by the Numbers. Let's get straight into it. So our first match, that being Brentford 3, Manchester United 1. This match felt as if it was more than just Brentford winning, but almost as if it was the end or the beginning of the end of Ruben Amorim. Multiple people have questioned whether he is the right man for this job, and those who are trying to remain positive, I think we're all getting to the stage where we can't explain what is happening. There is an understanding from Manchester United fans in general that constantly changing the manager isn't going to yield sustainable results. But there is also the fact that Ruben Amorim has only managed to achieve 32 points from 35 games in the Premier League. And in that same time, assuming Manchester United won on those games, he would have been able to accumulate 99. So relegation form for essentially a season has been achieved. That's one achievement. And at some point, something has to give. I've seen various reports saying that the Manchester United board are budgeting for European football. I don't think that actually means Champions League, but European football in some kind of guise, which would make me think that the aim has to be to finish in the top 7. And with the current form, it's just not going to happen. When you consider Manchester United haven't won 2 games in a row in the league under Ruben Amorim, after 35 games, why would that now change and become a constant for the rest of the season? I assume there was a belief that the fact that Manchester United aren't in Europe this season, they'd have more time on a training pitch, to be more organised and to take every game with key concepts of play, simply because there's just time to adapt, understand what your opposition are doing. Whereas teams such as Chelsea, which Manchester managed to beat last week, and on a side note, how bad does it look for Chelsea now losing to Manchester United, especially when they can't win 2 games in a row? I guess if the sequence is right, you're guaranteed to win, right? Or at least not to lose. Something needs to happen. The finances are going to either dictate that he has to be removed, or if this same form continues the rest of the season, do we start to see Manchester United as relegation candidates? A bunch of the teams below them in the league, I'm pretty sure, all finished above them last season. It was only Spurs who came below Manchester United, and the other 3 who got relegated. And currently, you have teams like Aston Villa below Manchester United, Wolves below Manchester United, and both of those actually finished above them. Even West Ham, who've now changed manager, will probably like to see that new manager bounce and start to climb the league. But I digress. In this match, it was definitely a contrast from the previous match against Chelsea. So for starters, Manchester United ran 5k less as a team in total. Why is that significant? Manchester United were 2-0 down after 26 minutes. The assumption would be that if you want to win a game, and as played out in the actual match, Brentford went 2 goals up and then sat back for a bit. That meant that Manchester United could not only increase their possession, but also would move the ball around and have to attack, which then results in running. To contrast this, when Manchester United beat Chelsea, they also ran more. So hence they've dropped 5k less. Currently, Manchester United still sit top of the XG table, just by half an XG, but they've scored only 7 goals this season, 3 coming against Burnley, which kind of illustrates a point. And they've also conceded 11, the same as Brentford, with only 3 teams, which are all below them, having conceded more. Yeah, something's got to give. I don't know how Amorim's going to be able to survive if this continues. There's the match against Sunderland next, then followed by Liverpool. Jordan Henderson gets control of the ball following the breakdown of an attack by Manchester United. Cunha had the ball and was claiming a foul, but that wasn't given by the referee. Henderson looks up and notices that Igor is gesturing to make a run. Harry Maguire, noticing this, desperately tries to lunge forward so that he's not playing Igor onside. Looking at this next image, you'll notice that not only has Igor broken the offside trap, but he's now waiting for the ball to arrive. This begs several questions. One, if Maguire realised he wasn't going to be able to catch Igor offside, why not just run back with him? Because the ball's going to go through the air. It's going to take a good couple of seconds to arrive. Now, once Igor does get control of the ball, he runs into the box and takes a shot. You'll notice that he is on the left side of the box and that Bayindir is still in the 6-yard box. Now, at this point, I would ask, if you're playing such a high line, why is the goalkeeper still in his 6-yard box? Not on the edge of his box, but in his 6-yard box. I have no explanation. So with this image now, you can see Bayindir looking at Igor, or Thiago, as he's got in the back of his shirt, as he's now getting ready to take a shot. Bayindir's positioning is too central. Now, usually with goalkeepers, you'll notice them find their near post and make sure that is protected. But Bayindir's almost left Igor, or Thiago, as we're now going to call him, with the option of being able to shoot at any corner of the goal. And because he's still in the 6-yard box, it just makes it much easier for him. Now, it was a good finish. It was a good goal. No issues with the striker, but the defence. The goalkeeper did not come out, and Harry Maguire didn't spring the offside trap, and realising that he wasn't going to, didn't run back to try and, defend. Now, this didn't just stop here. For Brentford's second goal, we had another example of the rest of the back three getting caught in bad positions. So here you'll notice that Matthijs de Ligt is the wrong side of Igor. Now, Maguire's behind him, so there is coverage. But in this moment when de Ligt realises he's the wrong side, he kind of spins round in an effort to try and get Igor and make sure that he doesn't get away and have a good chance. But all Igor does is chest the ball to his teammate, who then runs down the wing. Okay, fine. You'll also notice from this image here that Luke Shaw can see the direction of play, and the fact that Ugarte, Maguire and de Ligt are all trying to run and prevent this cross from coming in from Schade. But Shaw, watching Igor run into the box, doesn't get across to defend. And that results in Igor prodding the ball home from, let's say 7-8 yards, whilst Luke Shaw is the wrong side of him while trying to defend. So within 2 goals, we've managed to have Maguire play the striker onside. De Ligt managed to get the wrong side of the same striker, while Shaw, watching that said striker run into the box, didn't get goal side, and as a consequence, Manchester United lose 2 goals. So at this point, Brentford, 2 goals up, happy days, and Manchester United look as if heads down. The effort levels weren't adequate at that point, but you didn't expect them to do much. But there was a ray of hope. Dorgu managed to get a cross in. Šeško went at it with his head, then his right foot, then managed to score with his left foot. Great. First goal, off and running. Now that was in the half. Well, the half ended, half time, game goes from there. Manchester United then managed to win a penalty at 2-1. Now the VAR check for this penalty, it was about 4 or 5 minutes, and a very shrewd decision by the Brentford manager Andrews was to make substitutions, which then pushed this wait time for Bruno Fernandes up to about 6 minutes. He then promptly took the penalty and missed. So at this point, Brentford will win it. We're still winning 2-1. The game is close to ending, and Brentford get a breakaway. It's 2-on-1. The Brentford player, Jensen, cuts in on his right foot, outside the box. Now, yes, he did strike the ball relatively hard. It was a good strike. But Brian seemed to dive almost under it and out the way. I didn't really understand what happened. But no, that was the winner. Game over. And we're all wondering what's going to happen next from here. Brentford will be happy to get points on the board because this now takes them up and brings them level with Manchester United in terms of points. Manchester United will rue missed chances because there was a chance to actually build momentum. Something Amorim himself has mentioned in press conferences before the game. And that's all going out the window now. So Manchester United will play Sunderland next. Sunderland, who actually are doing reasonably well, considering they've been promoted. And Brentford will play Manchester City, who they assume will put up more of a fight than Manchester United did. To say the Manchester United effort was paltry, to say Manchester United didn't really put up much of a fight would be to flatter them, I think. It just wasn't good in so many ways. And Brentford weren't great, but sometimes you just need to be effective, and that was more than enough. So, our next match, Crystal Palace playing Liverpool at Selhurt Park. Crystal Palace won 2-1 with a late goal from Nketiah, where he tested the ball down and, with a smart finish, beat Alisson at his near post. Crystal Palace are the only team to actually have beaten Liverpool so far this season, if you include the Community Shield. And in the game where Palace were really good in the first half and had some good chances, as soon as they scored their first goal through Sarr, Liverpool just turned up the volume and then attacked. And once they had finally got their equaliser in the 87th minute through Chiesa, it looked as if they'd managed to avoid defeat. Now, Liverpool, as mentioned in the last video, Liverpool have scored quite a few late goals this season, which isn't a problem, but it has hinted at maybe the fact that Liverpool aren't yet in top gear and able to just grind out results. Not grind as in the play's bad, but get results whilst not being as good as they potentially could be. And we finally had an example where Liverpool ended up losing despite playing reasonably well. So, yeah, ball comes across, Nketiah chests it down, goal goes in, and Crystal Palace win. An interesting side note about this is one of the criticisms about Manchester United is the formation they play, but Crystal Palace play the same one, and they can beat Liverpool. Current champions with a plethora of attacking talent, which just goes to show you, it's not the formation, it's the application, right? Crystal Palace will be happy to not only to win this match, but it takes them up the league and leaves them in the Champions League places. Liverpool, having had lost, I don't think they'll be too concerned. One game isn't going to dictate a season, and there aren't many teams who've actually been able to go through a season and not lose a game. That being Arsenal, which resulted in them bringing out the tiny trophy as an award for themselves. Liverpool play Chelsea next, which might actually work out quite well for them because Chelsea have now lost 2 games in the bounce. And Crystal Palace will play Everton. And that actually takes us nicely on to our next match, which is Chelsea 1, Brighton 3. Chelsea managed to lose their second game in a row in the Premier League and have another player sent off. So first 20 minutes, Chelsea looked good, created multiple chances and took the lead through Enzo Fernandez. He scored a header from about 4 yards out, and it was a cross from Reece James. Good cross from Reece James. So yeah, 1-0 in control, everything's fine. Then the Chalobah red card happened. Chelsea seemed to find themselves in a scenario where they had 2-2 at the back, and Chalobah seemed to get behind Diego Gomez and clumsily bring him down around the edge of the box. VAR then deemed that that was a red card and resulted in a free kick which Brighton put over. Okay, fine. But then after that, Brighton started to come on really strong. They could sense blood, especially when you look back to the previous week where a player was sent off and Chelsea didn't win the game. So Brighton were attacking, increasing the pressure. Chelsea didn't fold. Then Danny Welbeck came on, ex-Man United player. And from across, he scored the first goal to equalise to make the game 1-1 in the 77th minute. Game on. Then Dikuipa. A cross came in from the left. It was headed back across the goal, and he nodded it home to put Brighton 2-1 up in the 92nd minute, so in injury time. Which is a shame because at that point Chelsea had hung on for quite a while and were probably hoping for the draw, just to draw a line under this and get some points on the board. But then after that, they were trying to play out from the back and were caught by Brighton. And then Danny Welbeck ran through from the edge of the box, was able to prod the home ball with a smart finish. And then that meant that Chelsea actually lost 3-1 in a game where they were seemingly in control up until Chalobah got sent off. So where do they go next? Of course, they're playing Liverpool, and having lost 2 games on the bounce, that's not going to be great for their confidence. Whereas Brighton face Wolves, who are having a terrible time of it so far. So, another week of Premier League football ends. Loads of results of varied magnitudes. And we look forward to what happens next week. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you later.